Right, hello. Well, I just wanted to do a video about why it's so hard to get to see a GP and some of the problems with UK general practice. I retired as a senior partner in a city practice, age 65 in 2015, and did a few locums, and I actually returned to work to do a bit of telephone triage for some of the COVID stuff. But I'm really worried about the future of general practice in the UK. When I started practice, a good practice, you'll probably get up to 50 applicants. And when I left, you'd be lucky if you got one good applicant, or even if you got any applicants for a general practice. I think there are a lot of reasons why young doctors don't want to go into general practice anymore. I think the government hasn't supported general practice. The amount of money that's been ploughed into hospital services, particularly with buildings and structural improvements, the amount that's been poured into hospitals is vastly more than's gone into general practice. On various points, I think that general practice has many different facets. One of them, and the one I liked, was seeing people who were either ill or thought they were ill, trying to work out what was wrong with them and what would be a sensible way to proceed, and also offering continuity of care. One of the problems, I think, is that a whole lot of extra stuff has been piled on GPs without the resources to facilitate it. An awful lot of stuff has been go to see a GP. So there's an awful lot of preventive work that wasn't there when I started in 1975. So an awful lot of preventive work on diabetes, hypertension, general checks and things, which is valuable, but the problem is it takes time away from seeing people that are acutely ill or even chronically ill. A lot of that work probably is being doing, probably should be done by people other than GPs. But as I say, I think that the time that's given to deal with people that are acutely ill or chronically ill has just been squeezed. I think that prevention is incredibly important, but cure is pretty nice as well. And for cure, you need to see people to get a good history. 90% of the diagnosis in the history, but 10% is in examination, and I think that's sometimes some things that have been forgotten with regards, we've got scans and all the bits and pieces, but you can learn stuff from examining patients. And certainly, as a patient myself, I have found it reassuring to be examined. One of the major changes in general practice in the UK is there are far more women in general practice than there used to be. In general, that's a good thing. I mean, both my parents were doctors. My father still is a doctor at 102. My mum was an excellent doctor. But the lifetime careers of female GPs are much shorter than male GPs. I mean, when I was a houseman, I was doing 1 in 2s, which meant being on normal working week plus every other night. So you could have weekends that would start on a Friday morning and finish on a Monday evening, and you'd been on call continuously. So 100-hour weeks weren't unusual. And in general practice, when I started, I had a half day starting on a Friday, usually started about 4 o'clock, and then I was off. I was back on at 6 o'clock, so really I only had 2 hours off. I mean, general, GPs wouldn't put up with that now, but we did work incredibly long hours, and I think we gave very good service. So yes, that's if there are going to be more doctors, medicine is a caring profession, so women are good at it in general. But if we are going to have more women, we need more doctors, because an awful lot of them are going to be part-time. I think there's a difference between being a partner and just being a salary partner. General practice has historically been run on a contractual basis, that GPs contract to offer medical services to patients on their list, and because of that, you're an owner. It's like being an owner of a small business, so that basically if the roof leaks, it's your problem, you fix it. I think the government and various bureaucrats would quite like it to be a salaried service, but quite honestly, salaried service, people are going to do what they're contracted to do, but they're not going to do above and beyond that. And I think the partnership model of general practice meant that people did an awful lot more than they had to, because they wanted their business, they wanted their partnership to succeed, and it was their livelihood. If it's all salaried, then if people don't like it, they can just move on, which again I think is a particular problem for inner city general practice. So, and as I say, I mean, the young doctors are going to come into general practice with huge debts. Mortgages are expensive, and they've just started a family. You know, they can't afford to buy into practices, so therefore they're going to be either salary partners, move abroad, or pick some other specialty, and it is a big worry. What I think needs to be done, what I'd like would be the BMA and the government to come down firmly that they actually support the partnership model, and they're going to try and encourage it and encourage youngsters into partnerships. Because when you, I mean, with my career, I started at 25 or something and left at 65, that you'd commit yourself to an area for decades, and I don't think that's going to happen unless it has, support. So I don't know, maybe I'm just a dinosaur, but I'm terribly worried about the state of general practice in the UK. I think possibly even the generation before me had the best of it when they were doing, operations on the kitchen table and delivering babies at home, but I accept that's not safe. I had the thing of being able to deliver babies in a maternity unit and looking after families over a long period of time, and I loved the job, best job in the world. But I think somebody, if it's not going to be the partnership model, somebody needs to get down and work out what sort of model do they want. Is it just going to be private medicine for the middle class and upper class, and a casualty type model where you turn up and wait, and it's all on, you've phoned for an appointment and it's a month away? I mean, is that acceptable? I think there needs to be a royal commission or something. There was a House of Lords committee thing on sustainability in the NHS, and they concluded there were no GPs, of course, on this House of Commons committee. No GPs on it. There was ex-ministers of health and there were consultants, but not in general practice. They concluded that the current model, the partnership model of general practice, wasn't fit for purpose. But if it isn't fit for purpose, and we're not supporting it and we're letting it crumble, then what are we going to put in its place? So I don't know. I'm very worried about the future of general practice in the UK. I think it should be one of the best bits of the NHS. We're the linchpin, we're the NCOs that keep it all together. You see your GP, and a good GP, when necessary, will refer, will spot the serious illnesses early, will give you continuing care, continuity of care. Anyway, it's just a ramble and a rant, but I'd be grateful for any comments or views. As I say, I'm probably a dinosaur, and things will work out. But it's a shame to see something that I think worked reasonably well not being looked after and crumbling. Cheers then, everybody. Anyway, what we need is some good news, isn't it? Cheers. Bye.